Hello, people. Hey there, welcome in. Just watching the numbers come in. It's always fun on my Thursday Live to see who's jumping in to say hello today. Welcome. This is Food Talk TV, and we go live every single day. Today, I go live every Thursday, and I'll be making a couple dishes, sharing some stories. And welcome to hang out with me, visit, talk. Um, hey there, Sherry. Let's see who's jumping in. Wow, I am seeing so many of you jumping in. Welcome. This is fabulous. Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm so excited. Welcome. I'm Frank, and I am traditionally under here as Frank underscore mentor SF, but I'm splitting my account, so now you can actually find me if my sign wasn't hidden at Kitchen Bear SF. But because I'm going to be making pasta today, I got the big pot out. So you can follow me on that account. It'll be the account I use traditionally for most of my food stuff moving forward. But welcome, everybody. We're going to be doing two, maybe a third, maybe three, but at least two recipes today. And I'm very excited to have you all with me. Deanna, hey, I'm so glad to see you joining, everybody. This is always exciting to see the names that I remember and start to recognize. My audio is lagging. That's kind of all right. I hope that's. Let's see. Let me see what Chris says when he gets in. Um, I just turned stuff off actually too, so hopefully that's not going to be a problem. And welcome into Food Talk TV, everybody. I'm Frank. I'm Frank underscore mentor SF or Kitchen Bear SF. Hey,
Hey, Frank.
Chris. How are you?
Hey, they say good. How you doing? They say your audio is lagging.
Yeah, I think somebody just
Hmm.
mentioned it, but I can't tell until somebody else gets on. So let me know. Moses, how
I
are you?
I think you're fine. You're
All
fine.
right, thank you.
You look good. You're welcome.
All right. Well, welcome. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see Moises in the room.
You too.
I am going to be making two dishes today while we wait for Sketchy. I am going to be making pasta primavera. Now, there are multiple ways to make this. Some people make it with just a very simple white wine sauce. I'm going to be adding a little bit of dairy, so it's a little bit heavier. But while people are logging in, let's see, we got a couple minutes before we start. And there we go. She's just logged in. And then my second dish is I'm going to do, you all gave me, I got such great comments last week from folks who really loved the vintage dip. So I decided to pull out of the same cookbook another dip today, and I'm going to be doing a very early 70s inspired shrimp dip.
Nice.
All right. I just invited Sketchy as well. So, folks, I am so excited to see you. I come on every
Hi.
Thursday. Hey there. And
Hey.
this is real time. Literally, what I'm cooking right now is what we're going to be having for lunch because this is my lunch hour and a half that I spend with you. I'm logged out of work. This is my lunch. So, whatever you see me cook is what we're eating. And sometimes it's what we're eating for dinner, too.
Yay.
So, hi,
Hi,
Yeah.
Deanna
everybody.
Smith. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi.
All
Welcome.
right.
Hi, Chris.
So,
Hi, Frank.
hey there. How are
Hey,
you?
Betsy.
Just gonna make my volume a little louder. We're having a beautiful day. It's chilly, but it's beautiful here today.
We have a cold day
Yes.
in Texas.
What does that mean? It's in the 70s?
No, well, I woke up, it was 40. Funny, funny, ha
40.
ha.
Oh, it's like 62 here today.
Wow. It
Really?
was
Crazy.
Wow.
40 this
Yeah.
morning or 45 when I got up. So it's chilly right now.
That is a little bit. Yeah, we've been having some cold, but I'm okay with the cold. It's as long as it's not, to be honest, as long as it's not the rain of late, I'm happy. So let me just get this lit again.
You're
Uh,
loving the cold in Texas. It's
Yes.
nice, right? It's a change because once it gets hot in Texas, it is hot.
Very humid,
So
right?
it no, well, I'm in the DFW, so it's not too humid, but some parts are. Depends if you're on the water or whatever. I used to live in Houston. It was always humid. Anyway.
all right. Okay. Well, welcome in. Yeah, the cold. I mean, actually, this is going to be a nice dish because it's kind of a dish you can serve when it's still a little bit cool, but it's great in the summer as well.
Okay.
So, how many folks? Let's do a quick little poll. I see Kaz is sneaking in the room. Hey there. How many
Hey,
people know
Hola.
what primavera means? I know you've seen it on menus, but how many people know what it means?
Well, in Spanish, primavera means springtime. I don't know.
It's exactly the same in Italian.
yes.
It's exactly the same in Italian. So when you see pasta primavera on menus in the restaurant, it doesn't mean pasta with vegetables. Technically, it means springtime. Now, that usually means it's that pasta that you're going to start to make use of all of what's in the garden. So
The garden. Okay.
yeah, or what you're getting at the
Your
farmer's
first thing.
market.
Yeah.
So I am going to do two things at once, part of the course. Here, I just have my water. I'm going to try and get this up to a boil as quick. So I'm going to make a pasta primavera with a little bit of a cream sauce. There's a couple different ways you can make it, and I'm also going to make you. I got so many comments about the 70s inspired dip last week with the clams. I'm going to make a different version, but using coconut and shrimp today.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So
My
so it's going
cousin
to be
is here. Hello,
okay.
Kelly.
Welcome.
Hey,
Alrighty.
welcome.
So I have a pot of salted water, and I'm going to be using instead of using the traditional linguine, I'm actually going to use these incredibly fun
Ooh,
pasta I
pretty.
found.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
they are lightly flavored. They're flavored with chili and carrot and spinach, turmeric. They're called fischetti. If you can read it backwards. But I found these at a little import store, Italian import store recently, and I just love the shape. So that's what we're going to be cooking later, as
Okay.
soon as I get it up, and that's what I'm going to mix with my vegetables.
Vegetables. Okay.
I'm going to put in. We've got snap peas, pepper, shallots, green onions, and asparagus, and I did forget it, but I can go back and get it, and that's one of the things I like about this recipe.
Moses is
Really,
here. Moses
he
says
is.
those look fancy.
Yes.
So one of the things that I like about this recipe is, like, for instance, I couldn't find fresh peas, so I have a bag of peas in the freezer. I may throw them in, but this has got a lot of green already, so I'm not too concerned.
Okay. I was just gonna say, did you get all those vegetables from your garden?
No, these are
You were supposed
no.
to say yes. I got them from the
No,
garden.
that would not be fair. No garden yet. It's too early
Come on
for
now.
us. You know, San Francisco is a really challenging garden space because,
Really?
because we get the fog every night.
Okay.
So I can grow, but I can tell you, I get enough sun that I grow incredible cherry tomatoes in my living room.
Okay. Oh,
Wow.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I grow them right in my living room because it's got just enough light, and
Okay.
I stream the vine right around the whole room and just get these lovely red pops of color. We also, up until this year, we had a lot of issues with water, not having a lot of water. So
Right.
we tend to use a lot of drought resistant varieties of plants. But
Right.
Okay.
that fog every night is a problem because it brings in moisture differently. So we'll see. I'll see what I'm
Kelly
planting
is
this year.
making pasta primavera. Pasta
Yes,
primavera, and you said what's the other? I know you told me it's a 70s
it's
inspired.
a 70s inspired shrimp dip, sort of
There
as
we go.
these are. So the reason I chose primavera today is a lot of people are going to be celebrating various activities this weekend. And often what's happened, especially when I grew up, we would have Easter dinner. The next day, we'd have all this raw vegetables laying around. There's all of this extra. This is a perfect dish for leftover vegetable produce that you haven't used. The
Right.
shrimp dip is simply because it's a fun dip. You can use it on anything. Matter of fact, you could toast up naan and use it on naan. You could use it on crackers. I'm going to use it on crostini like I did the other day. Oops. So
Tanya
what I'm going to
Langley, hello, welcome in.
Hi, Tanya.
So what I'm doing right now is moving my lid. I'm going to do this a little bit slow. I'm trying not to overcook any of the produce, but I do want it to cook a little bit. So what I'm
Okay.
going to do is I have the pot with some my electric skillet with butter. You know, now don't worry, there will be bacon somewhere today, but
Oh,
I'm using
The two
I
B's, right? The two B's,
yeah.
butter and
The two
yeah.
bacon.
B's, the good
So
fats.
the good fats, yeah.
Karen
I'm not
Schneider,
actually
hola. You're just in
this
time for some
recipe.
pasta primavera.
That's right. So this recipe
Hey.
could actually be vegetarian. If you wanted to make this
Okay.
vegetarian, no, you don't use bacon. If you want to make it vegan, what I would
Mhm.
say is use coconut oil or olive
Okay.
oil in the pan, and
Or
instead of
plant-based
using
butter. There's plant-based butter as well.
ah,
Yep.
they have new plant-based butter. I found I'm gonna
Yeah.
taste it tonight in the little wax coated rounds. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Butter or
So
cheese, Frank? Because I see cheese in that too. They
Baby
made a
Bell.
vegan cheese.
They have Baby
Yeah,
Bell
and they don't
vegan.
carry it
Yeah.
anymore.
I
yeah,
That
haven't
was in
tried it, but
Sam's Club.
yeah.
some of the vegan cheese I'm not fond of. It just depends. All
Well, it's
right. So,
evolving, Frank. It's evolving, okay? Don't knock it.
oh no, I try them periodically. I do try them. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
okay, okay.
yeah. So I
Well,
already
from 10
washed all
years
my
back to
vegetables.
now, they've changed a lot since like
Totally.
when I
Yeah.
first, yeah, it's like a big difference. So they're kind of way
Totally.
more doable.
So, I washed all my vegetables this morning. So,
Okay,
because I wanted them not to have so much. I'm putting the vegetables in order of thickness. So I put the peppers in
okay,
first because they're going to cook a
okay.
Mhm.
little bit longer. I
There you
put some
go.
Right.
of my snap peas in. If I were going to use fresh peas, I would put them in here. If I were going to use frozen peas, I put them in at the end
At
anyhow.
the end. Okay.
Um, I got some early spring asparagus, and that
Beautiful.
really
Okay.
was the highlight of this dish. And yes, could you blanch them when you're cooking the pasta? You could. I'm not.
Right, right,
Why? Because they're so thin already
right.
that they're perfectly doable
Yes,
to eat this way.
yes. That's how I
Oh,
love
they're
them.
really good. So, all I'm going to do is section them off because I took them apart, put the elastic band back on because when they're this small, they are a little bit. I took, I did take the ends off earlier, and the kind of the stocky ends. So I'm cutting these into like quarter inch, half inch pieces, but I don't. I want the little tips, so leave
Okay.
them a good inch if you can,
Mhm.
because
Right.
that looks pretty.
Right.
My heat
And guys,
on
if
this.
you if
Go
you
ahead.
have
Go
a
ahead.
sorry, Frank, if you have a favorite vegetable, and why don't you put it in the chat? We'd like to know.
Yeah. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
totally. Because you could put almost any vegetable. If you have spring onions that you like, if you have pretty much anything would go here. Uh, and I think that's why I always like this. So this is today going to be a green and red type of dish. Um,
Asparagus. There we go.
yeah,
Mm.
asparagus because it's got its own flavor. This works
Right.
really. I mean, it's already vibrant here. Let me show you so you have an idea of how vibrant it already is.
Gorgeous.
And this is not
Mm.
going to cook for very long. Really, all I'm doing
Spring
is,
onions.
well, I think I'm going to put shallots in today.
I love shallots.
I do
Mm.
too, and I have a shallot I hadn't used, partially because sometimes the onion is a little bit strong, and not everybody likes it when it doesn't cook. Not everybody likes a raw onion.
Right.
And I thought the shallots will be a nice, subtle. Now, I do love green onion. You all know I cook with it all the time, and I love scallions. But I thought, shallots have a little bit sweeter flavor.
They're a little sweeter.
Yeah.
Milder.
Yeah. So
Milder
I
and
would
sweeter, but have full of flavor still. So
totally, totally. So I'm going to use a shallot in this today, just for a little bit of, and just to make it a little bit exciting. I'm actually not even going to dice it. I'm going to leave it in these little thin rounds. But I have to
okay.
pay attention because I'll cut myself. So I'm going to cut them because I want them really thin. But I
Okay, now
want,
we don't want to see that, Frank.
no, I've done that before. It's never
Not
pretty.
today.
But this is just so you see the difference. I'm not going
Yeah.
to cut them in a dice. I actually am going to use them because I'm looking for, remember, the whole dish
Lots
is
of color.
vegetables and pasta. So I want texture. I want
Mhm.
shapes. The sauce I'm going to make, which you could just as easily do a white wine sauce is going to be based on half mascarpone cheese and half sour cream.
Oh.
You just
Ooh.
made my heart beat.
I know.
You know what,
I know.
Frank? Every time you cook, I get hungry, and I actually brought up a bag of pretzels. Because I was like, every time I watch Frank, I'm so hungry. I need to eat something. So if any of y'all see
I
me
know.
crunching, it's the pretzels. I can't hold it anymore.
You know,
She
I
Yeah.
turns.
will I will take that as a compliment. If I can make people snack while we're cooking, I'm okay with that. Well, you know, it does happen. It's like, wait, why can't
I have
Oh.
pretzels.
well, you know, that's what happened with Kaz. I'm watching yesterday
Yeah.
Kaz's live. If you were able to see Kaz cook yesterday and do that coffee cake, I'm sitting there snacking on licorice because I'm like, I want coffee cake now.
Yeah.
So
And we had silence. We were drooling. The silence was not awkward. It was just us drooling.
yes, it was a lot of drooling, but you know that happens. Whether it be Trisha or Moses when he throws that stuff in the pan, or even
Yeah.
Ashton when she's making some of those dishes that I don't make that I love.
Yeah.
Every one of us, there's always that one thing
Makes you
that catches
hungry.
you. Totally. So what I'm adding now is I'm just gonna mince up my
Righteous
garlic.
kitchen, hola.
Hello
Hey.
there. So, this recipe, there's a version of this recipe already up on the website. I'll be adding a picture later. Remember,
Okay.
this is a recipe that really shouldn't have it's not a rule. It's a suggestion.
Okay.
Switch out
It's a
It's a
whatever,
guide.
rest.
It's just a guide,
yeah,
right?
it's a guide.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to add is what you should put in. So, I've got butter, I've got snap peas, asparagus, some red peppers, some shallots, and I just threw in a little bit of garlic. And what I'm really looking to do right now is I want to get the shallots a little soft. I want the just to take a little bit of the coldness out of this dish. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to turn the heat off.
Okay.
Make these bite sized. Now remember, what's the worst thing when you go into a restaurant and you go to eat something and you can't pick it up on the fork? Make sure if you're using a pasta with a fork that the vegetables are fork size so that you can spear them. Otherwise, if you have a beard like me, you wear your dinner because you have to use a spoon, and nobody wants to use a spoon with the
I feel
pasta.
like that. I feel like that whole thing was directed at people who have beards.
I don't know.
You know?
My sisters don't have a beard, but they are curvy Italian women, and they end up with a lot on their shirts too. So
Okay.
I
I get
can't
it.
My
I
always
mother
get
was
it.
the
say it.
same way.
Advice for anyone there. Okay.
I think
My
so.
mother was the
All
same way.
right. You see? All right. So it takes about 3 minutes on a just on a low medium heat. Um, I put all these things. This smells so good. I could stop right now and I could eat this as a side dish. By the way, this would be you could serve this right now. Took less
Mhm.
than 5 minutes. It would be a perfectly appropriate side dish if you
Okay.
chose. What I want to add to this now is because it's not me if there's no red pepper in it. And
Hey,
remember, when you
Frank.
have a cream sauce, you can put pepper because they will balance each other. Yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say to everybody, if you're here and you know us, welcome in, welcome back. We love to have you here. And if you are new here, please give us a follow right here at Food Talk TV. It's right up here in the corner. We're a group of creators. We go live cooking every single day. And today we have Frank, who is at what is it, Frank? At Kitchen Bear.
Kitchen Bear SF. Yeah, that's the
Kitchen Bear
new
SF. There
account
we
I'll be
go.
going on at
And
Kitchen Bear.
actually, he needs a lot of help on he's created a solely food channel, and so he needs followers on that channel so he'd be able to go live on his own channel as well. So he'd really love if you'd give him a follow there.
I would.
Anyway.
When I first started on TikTok, I had a really mixed. Well, if you follow me now under this account, you'll know. But as Food Talk has grown, and I'm all of a sudden feeling that I'm getting a lot of folks, folks like Deanna and others
Yes.
who reach out to me, ask me questions. I'm like, okay, it's time to have a food account. So I sort of did the switch. I have two accounts. It'll take me a little while before I can go live on that account, but
it's
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 up. It's
it's
running.
his they're asking your food account name. It's right behind Kitchen Bear SF.
Kitchen
There
Bear.
we go. There we go.
All right,
There you go.
so I'm gonna season this 3 different times. I put red pepper flakes in. I put
Okay.
some black pepper. I'm gonna put. I'm gonna use my the larger grain kosher salt instead of the this one because this one's really fine.
It is fine. I have that little thing and I love it.
I do too.
Courtesy of
I'm gonna
you that showed it to me. Now I'm just like this in the kitchen.
now because yeah, really, it is fun. Now because I have fresh vegetables. I love fennel.
Okay.
I'm gonna throw some
Ooh.
fennel seeds in,
Oh my
especially
gosh. Okay.
because I have
Fennel's
the hot
delicious.
Super good.
pan, and it's gonna toast
Yeah.
my fennel seeds. And
Ooh.
I'm trying to use up the rest of this.
Okay. Oh my
And
gosh.
then
When I make sauce too, I put toast fennel seeds. My grandmother used to do that.
oh yeah,
Makes a good
Really?
totally,
sauce.
totally. And I'm just gonna put a pinch of my herbs de Provence. I use herbs de Provence as my alternative to Italian seasoning. It's just this dish really doesn't need a lot of dried herbs. You can
Okay.
get away with almost everything fresh, but
I bet that fennel, I can just, oh my gosh.
the fennel and the
Yeah.
little bit of lavender and the herbs de Provence play off the vegetables really well.
A City
Mm.
Girl's Kitchen. Hello, Madi. How are you?
Hey, Maddie. Welcome.
All right,
Guys,
so
tap that screen and share the live. We really
now
appreciate you, and give us a follow too.
I could right now put frozen peas in here
Okay.
because then as they melt, but I've got so much green, so much red, I'm not going to bother. What I'm going to do now though is let me see. Do I want to add these now? I'm going to wait. I am going to use lemon zest in this,
Okay.
and I am going to put broccoli. Now, let me explain something. The reason I am putting broccoli in the sizes I'm going to put is not what I recommend, but it's also what not everybody in my household will eat broccoli. So if
There
I
you
put
go.
small pieces of broccoli in, I end up having to cut them. So I compromise. I put them in, and then they can just take them out.
Right.
And broccoli doesn't have to be cooked. Especially if it's really nice. This is just enough heat to keep it nice and fresh. Paul loves broccoli, and I am not going to overcook this, so there'll be nothing really mushy. I just,
Frank, you have another question about your TikTok. Yes, his TikTok is Kitchen Bear SF.
yes, that's
his
my new food one that I'll be.
personal account, right, where he's got
Yeah,
his cooking.
Yeah.
because my other regular one is Frank_Mentor SF. That has some cooking, but it has everything from stigma, politics, humor. Well, actually, less politics. It's more about anti-stigma
There
messaging.
you
Feel
go.
good about your time. And
Kaz put it right there in the comments.
thank you, Kaz.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
And
he's got it.
Chris, oh, everybody's typing away. Type.
So this is almost to the point where I don't want to do much more. I am going to put the cover on, but I don't want to put the cover on because I don't want to add more moisture. So I'm kitty cornering. I'm going to show
There
you
we
because
go.
all right, it's kitty corner because I want steam to come out. And as soon as I think that broccoli is vibrant green, it's going to turn off the heat and just keep it warm. At the
Okay.
same time, I'm looking at my watch pot never boils, typical.
That's what Chris says.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
All
10
right.
second cooking school. 10-second cooking school.
Controversial. Not everybody likes celery. Some people like celery salt, and some people like celery seed. I like celery, but I'm not putting celery in, but I am going to put a little celery seed in. But I'm putting it in
Mhm.
now.
Oh, that gives it flavor.
It does give it
Yeah.
flavor. As a matter of fact, Trisha, you'll like this. You could put a bay leaf in this now and then take it out
Okay.
before you serve it. This is really good in the fall at the end of season vegetables, and you put fresh sage in here, chopped up really
Okay.
tiny.
Ooh.
So this is you.
I
This
have
is one of
sage in my garden right now. My son is
Oh.
growing it. I just used some fresh, beautiful sage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I got an idea. If I have time, my third dish today was to show folks how to make sriracha salt, and you take the same exact approach, but you take your sage, dry it in the oven, then mince it up and put it in your salt, and you have sage salt.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Wow.
All right, so this is done. This is literally where I want it to be. I'm going to show you so you get a nice clean look. Boy, it wouldn't be nice
Oh,
to move the whole
beautiful.
stove like this. Look at this. Literally, this is your side dish. Now, if you wanted to serve this alone as a side dish, it took me less than what, 15 minutes to pull
Right.
together? Do a spritz of lemon juice on it, a little grated cheese, and you have a wonderful side dish that could be served room temperature. It doesn't have to be kept warm, and most people will eat. Now, the last thing I'm going to add are little cherry or grape tomatoes.
Okay.
This adds my sweetness. And I did not, here, let me show you. They still have their inside juice in there because as this heats up, that's going to release and that's going to add to the dish. I'm not cooking these tomatoes. They're not going to get all disheveled, but it just adds this beautiful early spring pop of color.
There you go.
Nice.
Righteous Kitchen said power greens.
Totally power grease. When I was at the store last night, I was tempted. Do I want to do, I kept thinking, do I want to do carrots? And I love carrots, but they take so long. The only way I would put carrots in this is if they were shredded.
Okay.
Because or if I've pre-cooked them a little bit so that they don't take as much time.
Yeah.
All right, that's still heating up. So now let's go on to our.
And the Righteous Kitchen also says that would look great at Christmas.
In an Italian household, this would very much go great at Christmas. Or can you imagine making
I
this?
think in any household because it's so red.
It's green and red, yeah.
beautiful, Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you got the little tiny Cipollino onions or little tiny pearl onions, because they're white, would look lovely in this as well.
Oh yeah.
Except
that
mine
makes it really
frozen
nice.
because they're hard to peel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're totally on board with that. All right.
Those little ones.
Made some and I was peeling them for like 5 hours. Like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
my gosh.
All right. So I'm going to make our dip while we're waiting for everything to come together. I just
Okay.
bought some of the small shrimp. They're
Okay.
pre-cooked.
Okay.
But because I didn't want to dirty my cutting board and my knife and have to switch midway, I did those early this morning on my fish board.
Okay.
You take it. Now, when I chop these, and I'm going to show you, it's a really rough chop because,
Okay.
we're not in a restaurant. When I'm eating shrimp dip, I want to know that there's shrimp in there. I don't want it diced so tiny that I can't tell. Now, I have some leftover that I didn't use, which is fine. You always have a little leftover because I'm a big shrimp fan anyhow.
It's all mine.
So I've got my shrimp. It's I would say it's about a quarter pound of shrimp, right? Nice and simple. To that, and this is something not everybody will have used, is curry powder. And you can use, I would say the curry powder amount is, in the recipe I follow, is about a teaspoon.
Okay. Sim City Salt. Hola, girly. How are you?
And then I'm going to add some sour cream.
Okay.
And sour cream is going to be about a cup. I'm trying to think how much because I was adjusting it. Yeah, so it's about a cup. And this, I know this sour cream in here is about is about 2 cups worth.
Okay.
And that gives me enough for my other dish. So I'm just going to start to mix this up really easily.
I think it's time to open my pretzels, Frank. I can't hold it anymore. I'm going to get scolded for eating online,
She's making
All
stuff
right.
to dip next.
So now you're going to take 2 green onions, 2 scallions to this.
Okay.
And you're going to, you're going to take off the beards. You know that this end is called the beard, right? That end is called the beard.
That.
And
the hairs.
I'm going to use both the white and the green. I hate not using both.
Right.
So I will save a little bit of the green out for the garnish at the end. Okay. Or if you had chive, you could just do a little chive.
Okay.
These are just small, tiny little bites of flavor that's going to be in there. It gives you lots of texture. It gives you a little bite of freshness.
Okay, Gina Mazzanti, how are you? He is making pasta primavera. He's got his vegetables in the pan down here, and his water boiling up there for the pasta. And right now he's working on a shrimp dip, right?
A shrimp dip, right?
Shrimp, yeah, dip. Okay.
So in the dip right now, it's sour
Oh,
cream.
recipes! How in the world are you?
And this
Hi.
recipe,
Hey,
so this recipe goes back to the early 70s. It was a typical dip that you would probably have. You know, we had the clam dip. We had all of those fun dips. Now this is where I'm going to use the finer salt. Whenever you cook with shrimp or any seafood, you have to add salt back so it brings it back to the natural saltiness that it comes out of the water with.
Frank, I
Matter
have
of
to
fact,
stop you, Frank. I have to stop you. Okay.
Yeah.
All recipes is in the room here and
yes.
says that everything is looking great.
thank you.
Well, thank you very much. You're looking at
Thank
pasta
you.
primavera and a shrimp dip.
So
And you're
we are.
looking at Frank, Sketchy, and Chris down here.
Hello, and
Hello.
thank you. So
Thank you for coming in.
let me show you then, since you're here and you may have just rolled in. This is the vegetables for the pasta primavera. I'm going to use a
Beautiful.
cream sauce instead
Amazing.
of a white wine sauce today. Just double checking. Now, how many of you, when you go to some like an Applebee's or a Cheesecake Factory, would get the coconut encrusted shrimp appetizer?
I've never
Guess
had
what's
it.
going? Oh, I love that. But so
Okay.
guess what's going in this dip? It uses fresh toasted coconut. So I toasted up some coconut this morning.
Ooh.
Because
Oh
I-
my
and I
God,
toasted-
that's it. I'm opening the pretzels.
And I toasted that this morning
Yeah.
so that it wasn't going to be hot. It had a chance to dry off.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Oh, look at
That
this.
must
Now
taste
this,
amazing.
now that's a dip in my book.
Wow. Yeah, that's Chris. That's the right word.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Hey, Sketchy, you could put your pretzels in that.
You know, that's an idea.
Let me dip, Frank. Let me dip.
All right. So while I reassess and I double check and I wait for this water to finish boiling, why don't you tell them about Grub Match?
We can do that. And you know what, Chris? I'm going to let you. But first of all, someone is asking where we can find the recipes. Every single recipe that you see, you can find on foodtalktv.com. Okay? So this one should be up later on today, right, Frank, or by tomorrow?
The Primavera is up now.
Okay, this one's up now. Okay, so, and any recipes that you ever see on Food Talk TV, you can find at foodtalktv.com. Okay? All right, go ahead,
And
Chris.
we'll
You
talk
can go.
about Grub Match. Grub Match is the only #1 food challenge that we have here on TikTok, and it features very own above me, Sketchy Chef, who has a challenger every single Monday. You could catch that at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are looking for contestants. You can go to grubmatch.tv, submit a short little video of an audition, and we will get back to you.
That's right.
And if you think these lives you want to bring snacks, you definitely want to bring snacks to Grub Match.
Yes.
But
Yes,
have
I
them
was a pretty
handy.
good contestant, so
You don't want to leave, so have them handy.
yes.
All right, so now I'm going to just taste this. Now you'll notice I switched from a spoon to a spatula because I'm going to use a spoon to taste it.
Here, put some on my pretzel, please. Please.
Oh my God.
Please, Frank, please.
You get the curry, you get the lightest hint of the curry. I put what I added
God.
while you were talking. I added
gonna
some
make
fresh
that.
thyme to it because it just gives you a little herby sweetness. You've got the crunch from the
I'll
green
make it
onion.
today.
And I would say put this in the refrigerator and let it chill. Normally, I would say you would want to let this chill for about 20 minutes to an hour or overnight. Look at that.
Delicious.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna put it over here for the moment so I could get back to the other activities while this is now
Okay.
sitting and curing. All right, that is in its world right now. So, as I said, I chose this recipe mostly because we've got, for a lot of folks, we've got holidays coming up. that they're
Me too.
preparing for, and what happens when you have all that leftover. And
Mhm.
so this is just ways to redo leftovers in a way that
I'll
doesn't
recipe
feel like
says
it's
I'm gonna need a large bowl of that.
Yes.
okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
We can work with that.
yeah. Me too.
Me too. It looks really good. I'm like,
I
I'm
could,
making it today.
I
Okay.
gotta tell you,
I think
this,
I've got shrimp in my freezer. I've got coconut. I've got sour cream.
yeah,
Okay.
and you
I'm
could
doing it.
change up
I've
any,
got
like,
pretzels.
if you like cilantro, you could add cilantro to this. It would be just as good. You could add pretty much anything you want herb
Okay.
wise. So don't get stuck with what I'm using. You're just
Right.
gonna. All right. So that's all done. I'm gonna clean my cutting board. Check my water. There we go. We're just getting there. We got my vegetables cooking.
I know why your water's not boiling because Chris has been staring at the pot. Chris,
yeah.
Chris, stop staring at my pot.
stop staring at it. It won't boil like that.
So now what I'm going to do is I am going to put in my lemon zest. Yes, I do my zest of my lemon upside down, but that's because I have a very hard, heavy hand. And if I do it upside down, right side down, like everybody else does, I push too hard and then I get the pith. So I do mine
Mhm.
upside down because I can look at the amount, and
Right.
B, I'm not as likely to push into especially with this particular lemon because it's super soft.
You
You
have a
basically
comment
have better
from, I
control.
don't want to mispronounce, Rainy Lopez, or this is definitely Easter dinner.
Oh, you could definitely do this as an Easter dinner. This is supper the next day when you're tired of ham.
You said
You know,
supper. When I was raised, my mom and dad, they called it supper.
us
And
too.
then now we say
Mhm.
dinner, but we always said supper.
Yeah.
So all I did is I added the juice of a half a lemon. I might put more in a little bit.
Okay.
I did it in my hands because I didn't want to have to deal with seeds.
Seeds. Yeah.
Seeds, yep. Put my coconut out of the way so I don't throw that in by accident. Now, I'm
We
not
had
going to
10,000 likes.
I am not going to put, now I will put the cover on. I've got this barely on warm to get ready to do the next piece. So I've got a little bit of time while we're waiting for Chris to stop making my pasta go slow.
Okay, wait. So Don Hickman says dinner was lunch, and then Gina Mazzanti says we still say supper.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways people do call it, and I think it just depends on where you come from and what you called it growing up.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about this sriracha salt. I used up the rest of my sriracha salt, and I
Okay.
give it out as gifts. It's a finishing salt. It's a salt
Okay.
that you would put on something when it's done. You're not going to cook with it. Well, you could, but
Okay.
you should.
Okay.
It's hard to
Right.
gauge it. And it's probably the simplest thing you're ever going to do.
Okay.
Get a bowl. The ratio is always the same. It's a 4-to-1 ratio. Take kosher salt. I'm using 4 tablespoons. Get your sriracha. 1 tablespoon of sriracha.
Thank you for the gift. You got a hat, Frank.
You got a cowboy.
Hey, thank you. I think that's my first one. And all you're going to do is incorporate. And I'll be honest, I often will use the whisk to incorporate it, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to get all of the salt. It's going to turn brick red.
Beautiful. TikTok cowboy.
Wow.
Hola, hola.
Hey.
And CU337 says we say lunch and supper in South Louisiana.
Yeah,
Dinner
I
and
think it just,
supper. Dinner and supper.
remember there were some folks who would have an early supper and dinner was more formal. So kids would get supper at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and then parents would have dinner because it was a more formal. Sometimes dinner was just the larger or a later night. Sometimes people have said supper was the late night. It just depends on your upbringing. All right.
Right,
So
okay.
I've mixed 1 tablespoon of sriracha to 4
Okay.
tablespoons of salt.
Okay.
You can't get much simpler than that.
I was gonna say that's pretty straightforward, huh?
And this
Crazy.
works with any hot sauce. So if you have Calabrian oil that you want to do, or if you have you found a particular type of other hot sauce that you like, I just like sriracha because it's got a little bit of a citrusy taste. Take
Holly
it out.
Mary loves your flower arrangements and the windows.
Thank you.
The window.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll have to come up with something new to put in them next week after the holiday.
In Vermont, we said supper. New Jersey, we say dinner. I think it's about the region. I don't know. My mom is German, and we always said supper. My husband's family's Mexican. They say dinner. So in different parts, of the country, I don't know. Oh, look, I got funny ears. Thank you.
All right. Sriracha salt. Now, you put it on a piece of parchment, throw it in the oven about 200 degrees,
Okay.
about 15 minutes, open it, move it around. You don't want it to get brown. The alternative is take this just like this in a cold oven before you go to bed and leave it in the oven overnight, and it'll just air dry. You want it to be dry, and then the next morning, you pick up your parchment paper, you crumble it so that it's nice and small. Now, if you happen to have kosher salt that's really, really large flakes, you might want to chop it down by using a mortar and pestle or your machine.
Okay.
But I actually like the large flakes because it's a finishing salt, so I want people to see it.
Okay.
And that's it. It'll keep for several months, and I just put it in. I put it in my fancy jars, and you have just made your own sriracha salt. And I'm telling you, it's a fun little gift. I did them one year. A friend of ours had given us a bunch of herbs, and I had the sriracha, and I converted all the herbs that year to flavored salts for people.
I was gonna say that's such a nice gift. Homemade gifts to me are just so much. Because it's so thoughtful.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want sriracha salt in their life? Come on.
That's what I think. Right? I mean, it's one of those things where if somebody is not used to it, it's a nice way to bring a little bit of spice in, but manageable.
Right.
Dawn Hickman
nice.
says nice.
My son would love that.
All right, folks. Here's a hack. Another hack for you on this weekend. Don't want to buy flowers for your table? Get all of the leftover vegetables that look pretty, your herbs, extra asparagus, and lay them out in a platter and make that your centerpiece. Put water on the bottom. You've got a living centerpiece that's fragrant, that's pretty, that you can reuse the next day if you don't want to go out and buy flowers, or you didn't get a chance to because you forgot, which is more of the case I do.
Right, me too. I forget the flowers.
Yes. So I'm just have some time now. I have some time, not time as in the herb. I'm going to mince up a little bit of basil. Basil's going to be the last thing I put on the dish. I'm using parsley, and I take the stems out of this parsley because it's kind of early for us in the season, so the stems are a little woody.
Okay.
And I'm going to include some a little bit of rosemary, which I think is totally optional. If you don't like rosemary, don't put it in.
Okay.
I'm just going to get this nice and chopped up here. And I do this at the end after I add the cream because it gives me a little bit of freshness. Just kind of wakes up everything again because it's been heated. It's now not super hot. So I want to put a little bit of fresh something in it. The parsley I will add when I throw the creams in, which I don't want to add until we get close enough. Boy, this is just wanting to take its own sweet time today.
I swear I haven't looked at it once.
When I did this, I used this recently, and it was it went out fast. So I'm like, wait, why is it taking so long? All right, so I've got my herbs set up for this. Might as well talk about what I'm going to put in this. So once the pasta is boiled, because that's going to take a little bit of time.
Someone here says, if you add salt, it boils quicker. Did you add salt?
Oh yeah, I got lots of salt in here. I'll add a little more salt to it though, because
hurry up, right?
Well, and in fact, the salt has a two-pronged approach. The salt will bring it up to boil faster, but it also is if you're boiling pasta, that's when you get a chance to flavor it, is add the salt.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
what goes in my primavera? I'm going to put sour cream. I'm going to put mascarpone cream. Now, mascarpone is basically Italian sour cream,
Right.
but I don't
Hmm.
want this too soupy. So mascarpone is thicker than sour cream. So I'm going to do a little of each. That's going to form the dairy. I definitely am going to put pecorino, romano, parmesan, whatever you particularly like. That's going to go in it, and that's going to be the
Hmm.
foundation of the
Pretzels again.
sauce. Then, when it's all made and it's ready to be plated, I went and roasted some pine nuts,
Ooh.
and I cooked off some bacon.
Okay.
Bacon is optional if you're going meat free,
Okay.
but it just gives you a crunch, because right now the crunch is a vegetable, but it's going to be coated in cream. The bacon gives you just a little bit extra crunch. Then I'll put my herbs, and that's how it's going to get served. You serve
Okay.
it family style, let people grab it as they like. All right. What time is it? Because I'm getting concerned we're going to
2:41. Well, 2:41, so 12:41 your time.
Okay.
Hmm.
What I'll do is, if for some reason this doesn't boil in time, I'm going to show you how to make the sauce, and then you can do the rest in your head. How's that?
Okay. Okay.
All right. I don't know why, but this is live. This is what happens.
Right.
This is on
Okay.
a low simmer. It's not on very hot. Now I'm going
It
to
looks
bring
so gorgeous, Frank. Really.
Yeah.
It's so
It
colorful.
looks awesome.
I could lie and just forget about the pasta and just say this is your dish, to quite frankly.
It kind of reminds me of a chambota too, Frank.
A little bit. It's definitely a little bit of that. So the pasta will take about 10 minutes normally.
Okay.
So I would not want to, have this super. I wouldn't want this sitting there, but because I'm concerned, we'll hit it. This is just not doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish it for you.
Okay.
So there's already.
James Linder says it looks delicious.
So let me taste it for you, James. Hold on. Oh.
Here he goes.
You get the vegetables are just
Done.
past raw.
Oh.
I got the salt. I get the lemon and the zest nice and clean. So now I'm going to put some sour cream in there.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. Put your seatbelts on.
Yeah.
And because I don't want it to be as loose, I knew I was going to use a lot of different tools today. See how different, how thick mascarpone is?
Yep.
I'm going to put a little mascarpone in there.
It's not exactly cream cheesy, but it's thicker than sour cream.
It is. It is a triple cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love and mascarpone is like a magic ingredient, because with mascarpone you add sugar to it and you have an incredible custardy cream that goes well. It's what is in cannolis and or even I will sometimes take mascarpone and put it onto pound cake toast that I toast or other activities and just eat it as a dessert with fruit. I love mascarpone, I have to say. All right, so now we went from a really healthy vegetable to it's my holiday, leave me alone vegetable.
It's okay.
I like that.
It's okay.
It's
we only live once, right?
Now, I'm purposely doing this slow. I don't want to boil the dairy. I'm just waiting for the dairy to melt into this. If you want it saucier, totally. But you know what? What do we do when we boil pasta? We take some of the pasta water and save it. That's where you're going to add a little bit extra sauce, because there'll be starch in there. So that's going to allow me to kind of control how saucy. I don't want this American saucy. I don't want this swimming in sauce. I just want the pasta to have this nice white coating. I want the vegetables to be coated. Also, when you add grated cheese like this, you want to make sure you have almost no heat, because it'll separate and you'll get a greasy. So as soon as I get the chunk parts of the mascarpone and the sour cream melted, I'm going to essentially put it on warm, and I'm going to throw in my grated cheese.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to taste it. I'm going to taste it for I measured out how much I had left, so I had an eyeball effect of how much I would put in. Now, remember, I didn't add a lot of salt, you noticed, because Parmesan and Romanos have a lot of salt.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that I'm not over salting it. The balance will be with the pasta, but the pasta's also been cooked in salt.
Right.
So this is
Acreage is getting
almost.
hungry.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Acreage
add.
is getting hungry.
I'm going to add my parsley now to this. Remember, I'm not going to add basil because basil turns black if you get it heated. I want to do that at the very end. Yep. Let me double
Everyone's
check
getting
them.
hungry, Frank.
Yes.
And the last thing I'm going to do is now add a little bit more freshness with some more lemon juice. Again, it's layers. I'm definitely making this layered flavor because I want to be able to enjoy it.
And speaking of basil, Sketchy, I think me and you are very knowledgeable about cooking with basil, right?
Well, mostly. Mostly, yes.
Tomatoes
Okay.
and mozzarella.
Yeah, you would think, huh? The two of you. All right. So I have my garnishes are ready if my pasta ever, and I will put a finished picture up if we
Okay.
don't get to it today. So
Okay.
have no fear. We will have a finished picture. But you know, it's live TV, and I can stay on. I booked myself out until for an extra half hour. But Chris and Sketchy, I know if you can't stay, I will respect your
I'm
time.
good.
I'm good too.
All right. So let me give you a little bit of a look of the sauce. How's that
That
look?
looks
Again,
That looks
you could
amazing.
serve this
Right.
just like this, and it's sort of. I look at this as this is like how many of us used to grow up with the cheesy broccoli casserole?
Yeah.
Mhm.
This just amped up your casserole
Right.
thinking because
Oh.
you
Yeah.
could put this in a shallow skillet, put a little bit more cheese, and throw it in the broiler. It would be great.
Right.
Mhm.
But I don't want to cook it to the point where it separates all the fat. So this is pretty much done.
Looks beautiful.
That looks amazing. Oh.
You taste the cheese, you taste the fat of the dairy,
Oh my
but you
God.
can still you taste the tomato and you taste the vegetables. It doesn't have it's not one dimensional, and that's what I was going for. I wanted this to feel like, oh, I didn't have this at Easter. I didn't have this at another time. It
Right.
felt like you were doing something specific.
Right.
So I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to cover that to keep it warm. Get this out of
Nice.
the way.
Guys,
See
if
where
you're just tuning in, this is Food Talk TV. We have Frank Kitchen Bear SF live, and he just finished making pasta primavera, which is going to end. Waiting for the pasta to cook, and it's delicious. So give us a like and give us a follow.
So this is the pasta that I'm going to use. This is a flavored pasta. So they are basically little rounds of pasta that they then pinch together. They crimp together. And each of the colors, so one's a beet flavor, one is a black carrot, one's spinach, one's chili pepper. But you know, a flavored pasta is very, very subtle. I mean, I could make this and just put a white wine and butter sauce, but it's such a subtle flavor. But because we're serving it with the vegetables, they complement each other.
Okay.
And they're not, I mean, I didn't add spinach, I didn't add carrots, so it actually works out really well. It's rounding out your 7 vegetables for the day. All right, so let's recap while we got some time. I have your salt.
Beautiful.
There's your sriracha salt, which you can do with any chili oil. You want to use a 4-to-1 ratio. 1 tablespoon to 4 tablespoons of salt, or double or triple it as many as you need to. If you were going to do this with herbs, you could dry. I've done it with lemon, lime, and the peel and the zest. Usually what I do is I throw them in the oven, really low heat until they're all dry. Then I put them in a coffee grinder so that they get pulverized with the salt, and then that becomes a flavored salt. I've done it with fennel, sage. Those don't last as long, so I try to give folks small containers. I save all those. You know when you go to the restaurants and they give you the little individual jam bottles? I often
Yeah.
take those home with me if I've used them. If I've finished the jam, I'll take the bottle home
Yeah.
because they're a perfect gift size. So I can give people 3 or 4 different flavors.
Right. Oh.
Nice.
When you add a flavoring agent to salt, it does give an expiration date versus what normally it would not have another expiration date. And then we have our shrimp dip. So I'm gonna taste the shrimp dip officially because I know Sketchy hates it when I taste something. She just
Catchy, I'm ready
hates
to have
it.
a pretzel from above.
She just hates it when I have to taste something. But this just tells me I need to taste it. So this is a very 70s dip. It used to be, basically it's got shrimp. You could put lemon if you want. Shrimp and lemon goes great. You could add other herbs. It's cream, sour cream. It's lemon. I got a little thyme in there.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
and curry. Curry is the different one that people aren't used to cooking with. But curry in small amounts actually gives you
Yeah.
this really warming flavor.
It,
Here, let me check it though to
I'm
make
eating
sure.
a pretzel. Go.
I'm gonna go like
Mine
this.
is dry.
I had a flashback just now of being 12 in one of my aunt's basements
Oh.
Christmas Day
Oh, it's a story.
because we would all go to our aunt's. My father had 8 sisters, so and 2 of them lived next door. So Christmas Day we would go back and forth to the 2 houses, and these are the
Okay.
kind of foods that we would have during the Christmas Day because we always had Christmas Eve. So
That's so nice.
Good memory.
you
Good
can
memory.
make this dip. You can make this dip with yogurt if you want to use yogurt. You just want something on the thicker side because you don't want it to be too loose. It doesn't matter whether you can even use it with non-dairy cream yogurts or
Right.
I don't know if there's only a few non-dairy yogurts that I would use because they're not white. Most of them are off-colored,
Right.
but you could replace this with other products. Just make sure when you do this and if you make this, don't chop up your shrimp so that it's so fine that it disappears. Do a little bit of coarse, a little bit of fine so that it all blends in.
Okay.
I made this one year. This isn't gonna. It's just being a pill today. I made this one year. I don't know why. We had leftover grilled shrimp. Who has leftover grilled shrimp?
Not in my house.
I know.
Gone.
So I had maybe they were larger size. They were really beautifully grilled. So I diced them up, and I made the dip with the roasted ones or the grilled ones, and it had that smoky flavor. So I went and took tortillas and I sliced those up and I toasted them so that they were warm, and I served it that way with just a little bit of salt. Oh my God. You'd think it was a brand new recipe, but just the idea of cooking it on the grill and giving it a smoky flavor changed the entire profile.
Deanna says she cannot wait to make this pasta primavera. She's excited.
I cannot wait either to hear how people like it. I'm very frustrated that I am not going to be able to show everybody the finished pasta version. But I will tell you, this sure looks good, just as is.
So there is a comment section on the website, right, Frank? That
yes.
If they can leave comments if they've tried the recipe or any comments, suggestions, or what you thought of it or whatever. Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you in this pan how it will look. Now imagine you've got pasta in here, folks. This is how you would serve it.
Okay.
A little bit of bacon on top.
Beautiful.
A little bit of pine nuts, some fresh basil, maybe a little more lemon zest if you want, but really you don't need to do a thing. And this is ready. This would be set to go with your pasta. Mix it. Now, normally the next step of this is I would have drained the pasta, which is why I used one of these damn drainers, which is probably half the problem.
Dancing Puppy says very pretty. James Linder says pasta baguettes. Me too, right? It did keep getting better. That's what Righteous Kitchen says. That just kept getting better.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. So what I would normally do is, this is over. That's one of the reasons why it flowed over. Is you would save some of the pasta water. I would toss the pasta as soon as it was strained. I would toss it into here so that the warm pasta immediately reheats this up a little bit. Start to stir it, check to see if I need a little bit of thickness or looseness, and I would use the pasta water. It would make it really creamy, and then here's where it was supposed to live. This is the bowl. You can imagine it was going to go in this bowl here.
Oh, pretty.
Then you would sprinkle you'd put your bacon, your pine nuts, your fresh basil.
Okay.
Because there's lemon in it, you could decorate it with some lemon, and this would be the platter. Now, I went with two separate, one dish because I've been waiting to look forward to this dish. Here's how I would serve the dip.
Look, okay, that's so nice.
That's awesome.
Super, super easy way to do this.
Okay.
So I'll have a finished version. I'll make this boil in a little while. I think when I put the extension in, it just takes too long. It'll be up online. We'll post it again, and it will work. Other than that, but I got to tell you, as I'm sitting here thinking, I still have to eat my lunch. I could eat this just like this.
Of course, folks? You will, right in front of us.
This is literally. If you put this in a pretty bowl on the table as a side dish with its toppings, it would go even without the pasta.
Right.
It would be, and that's kind of why I like making it, because it's a standalone dish.
Right.
I don't need to put the pasta in it if I didn't want to. So if you're conscious about carbs or you're keto, this is your whole dish and you don't feel bad about it.
Right. Oh, it looks really good. Delicious.
Really good.
As really always, good. Frank.
Well, folks,
as always,
I'm going to say I appreciate you all. Unfortunately, the water did not want to cooperate today, and now since I took the filter out, it's just a little too high. But I will have pictures on later of the finished product.
Okay.
Do I have any questions or thoughts before I roll off?
The only question I have is can you please ship me some really quick?
Well, that's the nice thing is this is literally very easy to do. Anybody.
I know.
I encourage folks to go in your refrigerator now. What vegetables are getting ready to go? Because today is Thursday. You're not going to go to the grocery store maybe till tomorrow. You can knock this out. If you don't have grated cheese, use feta. If you don't have sour cream, use yogurt. All of this is replaceable, but it'll get it out there in the same way.
Right.
Right.
If you amp up more vegetables in here or spaghetti squash, you could use spaghetti squash in here instead of pasta. If you have leftover meat, maybe you broiled a steak the night before, or you did a roast, chop it up into about similar size pieces, heat it up, throw it back in, and now you have your a protein added, or chicken.
Right.
It's a really super adaptable dish on your dietary preferences or how you want to feed a family. This, when you add pasta, will feed about 6 to 8 people. If I leave it as a vegetable and a side dish, I could probably serve this for a family of 5 or 6 as a side dish.
Right.
So it's adaptable. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for spending some time.
Dancing Puppy says the hot cowboy apron is nice too.
Thank you. Remember, everybody, we are on live every single day. One of us is live. Tomorrow is Friday. So, Trisha, you're on tomorrow?
I'm actually not. It's JoJo.
So, JoJo is on tomorrow. We're doing live from a restaurant, Pomodoro. Saturday morning, for me, it's early in the morning, and then it's like 8 o'clock East Coast, I believe. Is Ashton on Saturday.
Just like Granny.
Just like Granny. Yes. On Sunday, we have
me.
You.
I'll be on Sunday, right? 6 p.m.
And Grub Match on Mondays.
But
you can find all of our events on the website under the word events tab, and it'll tell you who's going when. If you want to participate in Grub Match, it gives you the instructions there, how to participate. All of the recipes we try to do. I've got a bunch that I'm loading tonight. I know the pasta and vegetables is already up. I'll have the others up in the next few days. We have some recipes coming from Ashton and Drea that'll be going out live. And if you can't find a recipe that you've seen on live, because remember, all of our lives are usually available within 36 hours of air date on our YouTube channel, so you can always catch them in the replay. Just email one of us or message me, and I'll find out where the recipe is. With that, I want to thank everybody. Have a nice weekend if you're celebrating with your families and your friends. If you're not, just take advantage of whatever the weekend brings you.
It was a
Thanks,
pleasure, Frank.
Thanks,
Yes,
Bye.
everybody.
always.
Bye now.
Bye.